I've got to get a train.
Why hello, I have a microphone. There's also a camera on the desk, so nice to be on this side of it again. It's been ages, it's been like, what, a month? It's been a while since I've recorded on this side, so... But yeah, I have been back from TFNATION 2024 for long enough that the hangover is dissipating and I've recovered some of the sleep that I missed over the weekend. So yeah, I feel about up and ready to talk about it. It was a fan-fucking-tastic weekend. That was brilliant. That's the first time I've ever been to TFNATION. But I think I should take you through the sequence of events in chronological order. Because interesting things happened on the way.
Our train's been cancelled.
I got up really early in the morning on Thursday, making my way up the day before TFNATION so we could get in early, and I'm really glad that I did that because the very first train that myself and Mr. Kian McKenna grabbed was cancelled. So our pre-booked train, there was a fire near the tracks apparently, and we just couldn't get through to London, which was the intermediate stop before we could get to Birmingham. So we were a little bit doomed, and we were worried, but what actually happened was the Rail Association sent us the other way around the country with a handwritten note. It was funny. It was also really annoying. We got there way later than we were supposed to. We were supposed to be due into Birmingham to get into the Hilton Metropole at about 3:15, and we arrived at 6:10. So, not quite as good time as we were hoping, but it all went fairly well in the end. We were really glad that we grabbed Subway before we left, in the train station itself. But yeah, we got redirected through to Ely, then had to go into central Birmingham, then come back via Birmingham International, got there, spent loads of time trying to figure out how to get out of the NEC on the side of the Hilton. But we did eventually make it, we made it into the Hilton Metropole, and yeah, from there, it was just check-in and vegetating for a couple of hours, getting ourselves set up in the room. At that point, we were thoroughly tired, and we just wanted something to relax ourselves, reinvigorate, so we went for a swim. Swim in the pool, it was quite nice. Following that, went back up to the room. At about 8 o'clock at night, we ordered a KFC in, and had about enough KFC to feed a family of 6, collapsed in the bed, and just out like a light. Friday morning happens. I wake up at 4:30 a.m. I was in a cold sweat, my mouth was dry. I thought I was about to die. It would have been really bad to die right before the con. I'd miss it, but no, I got up.
So I've woken up at stupid o'clock this morning. My throat is shot, and I am knackered from the journey. But panorama's right over there. Panel day is today, so it won't be long before the event begins properly. And not just me and Kian panicking our way to a hotel.
Kian was still fast asleep, didn't want to wake him, so shot downstairs as well as I possibly could in that state, and waited by, there was this open bar, there's like the main bar, and then there's a separate bar off to the side of that bar, which is like for takeaway coffees and things like that, and waited there, and there was another gentleman there earlier in the morning, it was like 5 a.m. at that point, and I was just waiting for somebody to come along so I could have a drink, and he seemed a little bit impatient as well, so I was like, oh yeah, no, it's a little bit early for them to be behind the bars, and he said, yeah, no, I'm on California time. I was like, oh, so you've come quite far for this? And he was like, well, yeah, I'm a guest. And I was, I felt absolutely horrible for not recognising him on the spot. But it was Michael Charles Hill, the writer of a whole bunch of Season 2 and 3 episodes, and one of the producers on Season 3. I had a lovely chat with him. Just about like the history of Transformers, and he wasn't quite aware of how big Transformers is today until quite recently, in the last couple of years or so, when he was invited to TFCon. And it was just nice to talk to somebody on the spot immediately, and went our separate ways. I managed to get some water, and then some more water, and then some pineapple juice, because it is an elite juice. Anyone who thinks otherwise is wrong. At that point, made my way back upstairs, got myself in a little bit of a better state, and Kian was still sleeping. Registration wasn't for a couple of hours, so I went for a wander, and my objective was to try and find a coffee that wouldn't cost a kidney.
So I've got a few hours to kill while it's early. It's registration's at like 8 o'clock. It is currently 7. No, it's not. It's 10 o'clock and it's currently 7. I think it's 8 o'clock tomorrow. But I'm trying to... That's helpful. I'm trying to find 2 things. One, all the fire exits, stairwells, everything like that, because I am a notorious overthinker. And 2, a coffee that I won't have to pay a kidney for. And I've just spotted the Mermaid of Truth. So let's go and see if I can get a coffee that I won't have to pay a kidney for.
And I failed miserably because I went to a Starbucks thinking that, you know what, that won't cost a kidney, and it was £6 for a medium f***ing latte. What in the actual shit is going on with that? But yeah, ended up having my coffee, sitting there for a little while. Made my way back to the hotel. By that point, Kian had just awoken, and I was locked out of the room while he was getting himself ready. So I went downstairs and queued up to get my own tickets, my wristbands, and got in the queue, sat and waited, and was immediately recognised. And if you're watching this, the person who came over to me and said I should put on the Blaster video at the bar at TFNATION, I apologise for not putting the Blaster video on at the bar at TFNATION. I am a fucking coward. But also, I was disoriented by that point after the morning that I'd had, so I'm sorry that I didn't engage very well. That's the first time I've ever been recognised by anybody in any situation, so thanks for being a highlight. But yeah, made my way around, got my tickets, went back upstairs. Kian was awake by that point and was like, oh, finally, we can go down to registration. I was like, this is where the wristband is. No, it wasn't exactly like that. I told him that I'd already been down and grabbed my stuff, so we both went down and were making our way to the registration desk, and we bumped into another lad who was trying to find registration as well. So we go into the queue and stand and wait and start having a chat about what we're after. I was saying how I was after a tidal wave, an astro train, reflector, things like that, and he said, yeah, no, I was he's after just 86B and the Autobot Stand United 5-pack. And Kian at that point immediately just perks up, looks over at me, just like turns to this guy and just like, this guy's made a pretty good review if you want to go and watch it, if you need some convincing. And this guy was like, oh nice, do you do YouTube? And I was like, oh yeah, no, I'm MrLoubat. I wasn't wearing this at that point, so I was like, oh yeah, I'm MrLoubat. And he immediately was like, so we enveloped him into our little party for the rest of the weekend, and I had been recognised by the first 2 people that I'd interacted with that wasn't one of the celebrity guests, so that really, really shocked me. I didn't expect that I had a feeling that there would be at least a couple of people that came and said hi, and there were you guys, and I didn't realise it would be that early. That kind of picked my mood up a little bit from the rough start in the morning that I'd had. And at that point, it was just going around. We had the panel start, so there was a Meet the Team panel. They give you these nice little booklets with the schedule in them. There was the Meet the Team panel, which was pretty self-explanatory. It was a very, very fun little ceremony to get everybody in action. Then there was Michael Hill's first panel, in which he watched a couple of the episodes that he wrote. The Gambler and... oh god, I forget what the second one was. The name of that episode escaped me. But that was really interesting, hearing the insights that he had into character writing and how he was the only one able to come up with new characters, like Dev Khan. And following that, there was the Robertson panel. That was fairly interesting. And the panels just kind of went on throughout the day, and then the tiredness started to hit of having woken up at 4:30, so I ended up falling asleep. Following the Robertson panel, me and Kian went upstairs, scoffed a pot noodle, came back downstairs, and missed just the beginning of Greg Berger's first panel. And by the end of that panel, I was like, right, I've got food in me, I've been up for long enough, and I started nodding off, and I felt horrible for doing so. I did manage to catch most of it, but I eventually twigged myself, gave myself a good slap, and then I was, back at it. Following that, me and Kian got hungry, so we left the panel room and had a bit of a think of where we would go. We ended up going down to Resorts World by the NEC, having a cheeky Nando's. It was nice. Made our way back, and Kian went in to grab, I think it was the Blockies panel. Just catch that because he was interested in the model kits for everything. And I figured, I know somebody else that's turned up here, I'm going to go and catch a pint with him. And I met up with Honey Rock in the bar, who some of you may know from the Sheep Wielders Discord server. And then we drank until silly late, had a good laugh, lovely chap. Once again, much like the lad from the first line, we all incorporated into a little clique from then on. Yeah, following that, went upstairs, was in bed at about maybe 11:30, 12ish. Can't quite remember exactly.
So today has been Friday. It has been eventful.
Yes, a lot of panels. We sat in some panels in the morning, and then as...
Today is panel day.
Yes.
There's no byroom, there's no nothing. It's just for experiential purposes.
I quite enjoyed the Robertson one and the blokes, because they look quite good. I think I'm going to spend some money on them because they're fun model kits you can actually build.
That was one of the only panels that I didn't watch.
Yeah,
So
I ended up seeing the Triple Takeover one, which was decent. I missed the first start of it, but overall the panels were decent. Tomorrow the panels will definitely be overshadowed by
being in the byroom and spending every money. We've had drinks, spending every penny we have.
Yes. Tomorrow, up at nice and early, hopefully, for the byroom. And we'll go and spend some money.
Made our way upstairs and just went to sleep. Got up at 5 a.m. the next morning, this time with an alarm, not with like the creep of death. And that was byroom day. That was the busiest day. It was a Saturday. So got up, got myself pulled together, stuck this shirt on, go downstairs, and I was queuing for a couple of hours before I started queuing. I ran into Michael Hill again, getting his coffee. Had another chat with him, this time about actual script writing and...
Day 2 has commenced. Byroom today. Not sure which panels I'm going to go to. Probably David Kay. But the main aspects I'm interested in is not burning through every penny I have within the first few minutes. Still making a beeline to an Astro train though. Second I see one.
Then went up and queued for the panel and realised that despite being 6th in the queue, I had forgotten to grab my wristband. So I shot back upstairs, and when I got back I was like 40th in the queue. So it wasn't too bad. That queue ended up stretching into the registration room and circling around. It was like a amusement park queue. It was nuts. But
are you ready? You're locked in? Lovely.
then Kian ended up coming down joining me, and we went in to the byroom for what is possibly one of the most exciting, most stressful, and most shameful experiences of my life. So getting in the byroom and getting really good deals on the toys was quite high on my priorities list because I didn't have as high a budget as I wanted because I'm a stupid moron that can't save apparently. But got in at 9:45 and was in the byroom for probably about 4 hours, just looking around, grabbing this, getting that, going around seeing all the places. Toy Foo's stall was huge. They had loads of G1 and animated, loads of Titans Return, a lot of original Bayverse stuff, and then a whole wall of pretty much like boxed Unite Warriors figures. Around the back of them there were a few more stalls with some good stuff. There was In Demand, they had loads of really good stuff. They had loads of import stock. A whole bunch of people got like 86Bs, a couple of 86 Springers, some swoops, things like that aren't out in the UK yet. That was cool, and it was just going around seeing all the 3D prints and stuff.
He patiently awaits David Kay.
Met David Kay at his booth. He was nice. Bumped into the rest of the guys that we'd seen there, so Honey Rock and the fella from Friday, and we all just kind of went around as a clique, found stuff.
We're back in the room.
Oh.
You're wearing the Muck shirt.
I am wearing the Muck shirt. It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
And that is the haul between the two of us so far. It is only like 12:37 on Saturday.
How are we feeling about the con so far?
Pretty enjoyable.
Especially Saturday. I missed David Kay's first panel, which I'm a bit sad about.
Yeah, but you did get to meet him.
I did get to meet him.
You got a signature, you got a signed golden disc, you got a
Kian.
You got a Simon Furman signed Death's Head there.
Yep, which is excellent. So it should be quite good. We'll have some lunch, head back down to the byroom, and just make some content. Yay!
1 o'clock, me and Kian retreated back up to the room, rather on the hungry side. Did we have pot noodle on Saturday? We did. Yeah, we had I don't think we did have a pot noodle on Saturday. Huh. No, we didn't. Oh, no, it was lovely. So on Saturday, another guy from the Sheep's Discord came down, that British idiot. We all met up and figured we should get out of here, we should all go and grab some lunch. So we figured Subway would be a good shout for lunch because it's not that expensive. We can all just grab a sandwich, make our own way. But the Subway at the NEC was closed, so we trailed off route to go to Resorts World once again and found ourselves at Karage, Japanese fried chicken, and all sat down with some of our haul and just stuck some toys on the table, got some chicken. Honey Rock being Australian, there's a big Japanese cuisine presence there, much bigger than in the UK. So he was walking us through what everything was, but from then on, it was just lunch, toys, chatter, good laugh, theorizing stuff. It was a really, really nice time to just sit down and have lunch. And then got back up, made our way back to the hotel. At that point, me and Kian went back to the room for a little bit. I filmed my first unboxing or two. Following that, the bar room was already closed by the time me and Kian made our way back down. So I think Kian stayed in the room for a little bit. I met up with the other guys. British Idiot had already gone home by that point. He was just there for the Saturday. But we all sat down and had a drink, played with some toys at the bar, and then made our way into ClubCon. As a group, Kian came down and joined us for that. And the Pretenders cosplay event was incredible. I love cosplay. It's something I've never been able to do because I don't have the materials, don't have the equipment, but it is something that fascinates me. The craft that goes into it and creating new designs for characters you enjoy, embodying them, and the way that there were two assortments. There was mech cosplay, and then there was humanized cosplay, which is exactly what it sounds like. They're incredible, and there were so many great cosplays there. So much that I enjoy about that craft. It was great to see. I haven't seen a big group of cosplayers since Comic-Con in 2017, and that's a long old time ago now. I was a wee little sproglet. Following that, there was the Matrix test, the Chris McFeely quiz. We failed f***ing dramatically. I have heard horrible, horrible things. Nothing could have prepared me for how horrible it truly was. My pride and joy were just shattered beyond belief. I have never been so disheartened about my lack of knowledge on Transformers, but you know what, that's the point. And everyone was booing McFeely, and it was great fun. Caught him in the hallway afterwards and had a quick chat with him. He was like, yeah, no, I love it. I'm a villain. That was great. And then there was the charity auction, which was fantastic. Toy Fu, one of the lads from Toy Fu, Matt Marshall, he does custom resin sculptures he disassembles old G1 toys, then casts them himself, and then recasts the original toys in new materials so he can continue to do customs. And that was really interesting. The insights that he gave into customizing in that way, everything like that, a little bit earlier on the Friday, there was that panel. He auctioned off some of those, as well as some other things. There was Ron Perlman signed animatronic Optimus Primal from Rise of the Beasts. There was a animated Swindle with a signature from Derek J. Wyatt. There was loads of stuff. They made so much money at that auction for Mary's Meals. It was really exciting to watch and see, and the prices things went for were far, far out of my league, so I was far too broke to bid, unfortunately. But it would have been fun if I could. Following that, there was the script reading with David Kay, Greg Berger, and Kathy Gavari. And that was lovely. You had to be there. They had a really, really interesting story premise that involved a certain amount of liberties with the fourth wall and some liberties with public domain characters. And it was thoroughly entertaining. We were laughing like hell. David Kay said the thing. And then following that, there was a surprise. There was Greg Berger sitting down. He was reading through a couple of bits and bobs, and we were the first crowd that ever got to hear it. Some really touching things were said. Of course, being my first TFNATION, not all of it was able to resonate with me like it would be for the people that have been going there for years. But even then, it was still touching, and it was so pleasant. That was the best part of the vibe of the convention, was the fact that it didn't feel like a convention. They said in the next day there was a panel with the con staff and the organisers. They were asked would they want to expand and go to a larger venue, and they said absolutely not, because the Hilton is the second largest hotel in the UK in terms of the space that they have in the ballrooms and stuff that we can use for the buy room and the panel room. It is Midland centralised, so everyone can get to it without hassle, unlike the other one that's in London. And the fact that people are sleeping there, people are drinking there, it's what creates this community experience in the con. It was incredible. It's something that I can't describe. I just have to say, go to TFNATION and experience it for yourself. Best social event that I've ever been to, without a doubt. And leading on from that, topically, we all hit the bar. So the whole group of us, we went down, grabbed a few drinks, and at that point, we all decided, you know what? Let's grab all of our halls, bring them up to Honey Rock's room, and just put them all together and see. And there was a really fun couple of moments. Honey Rock gave Kian a rundown on the plot of Beast Machines. Bearing in mind, Kian is a massive Beast Wars fan. It's the only show that he's watched start to finish in all Transformers. And he was saying how, yeah, no, he's interested in watching Beast Machines. And then we were like, no, you're not. He was like, but yeah, I'd like to see where they take the characters. And he was like, no, you don't. So we told him, and we broke the news, and broke the poor boy's little heart.
Alright, Beast Machines. I'm gonna give you the rundown. Now, I want to point out I ain't seen it in maybe 8 years because I watched it.
I'm scared. I watched one episode. And then...
So.
Oh yeah, one episode.
So, Beast Wars. You've seen all of it.
Yeah.
Right. So they leave and they catch Megatron.
And then he becomes a giant head.
That's
Oh, no.
father. We're jumping the gun here,
super
right?
theories.
Give us a moment. So.
How many seasons are there of Beast Machines?
No, one.
One. And there's like 2
One.
halves.
Oh right.
Just tell me, because we're far into recording.
Yeah,
now, but
okay,
I will
so,
maybe watch it.
Megatron falls out of the timeline earlier than Optimus and everyone else does, and he manages to change, obviously, Cybertron in his image. They reformat themselves into purely biomechanical, so it's not just mechanical with bio look, it's like literally like flesh and metal together. Yeah, and they become biomechanical terrorists. And they try to save their old friends who got captured by Megatron and turned into other creatures, such as Rhinox, who became Tankor. But Rhinox sides with Megatron.
Why?
Because it's technological prowess, and he was always a tinkerer, so he was keen on it. And then the next thing, Black Arachne is like, oh, I've got to try and find my love Silverbelt again. And so she thinks Thrust is that, the bike one. No, Thrust is Waspinator. Because Megatron went back in time to find Waspinator doing his little like caveman tribal thing and stole his spark.
Waspinator King!
They did that, and it just butchered both of those characters.
It did, yeah. And
Horribly.
then it turns out that Silverbolt was actually the arrogant but very smooth Jetstorm.
Oh, honestly, love that model though in the show.
That was a very cool model.
It's cool how they're taking different characters and kind of with it, but they're
All
very
right,
annoying.
Do you want to say that sentence again? And like, do you want to think about it?
Oh, and the Rat Trap falls in
No,
love with the
they're
plant.
not crying.
Yeah, Rat Trap literally wants to the plant.
Because there is a fully... Is she fully biological plant transformer, or is she also technology?
She's not a plant transformer, she's just a plant.
Yeah, she's just a straight up plant.
Yeah. And then
Oh.
Nightscream, Nightscream is like the Michael Jackson Bat one, right?
Yeah.
Like, just pops up out of nowhere. No origin story, no nothing. He's just hanging around the
And it's
dirt
already
inside
a
the trunk.
organic bat.
Yeah.
And also, he's like the rebellious teenager, because obviously Cheetor matures, so they need to have another rebellious teenager.
Yeah.
He actually
Cheetor-
becomes the most sane out of all
Yeah,
of them,
he's
surprisingly.
literally normal. Optimus,
No,
the
well,
design
Optimus
looks...
Primal just goes absolutely
although-
nuts.
Yeah, he becomes like this whole, I am one with the all sparks.
I've seen that.
Yeah.
It gets really high.
They're very high.
Every
Yes.
f***ing episode.
I would have turned
Sitting there over
Rat Trap
incense,
is
just
paraplegic,
constantly,
rolling on wheels the
just
entire time.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine Optimus Prime would just be like, I am one with the all sparks, the all sparks. And then you got like Cheetah walking in and it's like, hey boss, big bot, don't suppose we can maybe, you know, do something for the cause? And it's just like, I'm one with the Cheetah, you stay in this room right now. Face the corner, young man. And Megatron changed his bodies like 5 times in the
Yeah, he was.
So, because
Following that, we all got Macca's, had it delivered up to the room, good laugh up there, and then everyone went their own ways, went to bed. I was still buzzing with energy at that point, so I may or may not have gone back down to the bar and chatted with Sam's Forge till about 4 o'clock in the morning, and a couple of other guys. One of the members of the Transformers Collectors Club of Australia, he was good fun to talk to. There was another guy, I didn't catch his name, but yeah, it was just talking to people that I hadn't interacted with yet in a slightly less busy bar, because it was you couldn't really call it the early hours of the morning, it was mid-morning. But yeah, just having a couple of pints with them and having a chat, that was nice. Went upstairs, slept through until 10 o'clock the next morning, missed the opening panels, went straight through to the bar room. Met up with Honey Rock, met up with the other fella, had a good laugh, went through, fought like 2-3 more bits. Me and Kian did have a little fun thing that we did. We agreed when it was his birthday a few months back, because my birthday is at the end of this week, 2 days after you're seeing this video when it goes live. His birthday was a few months back, and we agreed that instead of actually buying birthday presents there and there, we would each go off in the buy room at TFNATION, grab something for the other person with a certain budget, and then have a little exchange, because then we could abuse it for content. That was good fun. So I'll roll the clips.
Because I know the things you like, but the broad G1 kind of collection is almost complete. So I'm really hoping you haven't got this, because I kind of panic bought. But if you have, then I'm going to be a bit sad. I don't know if you already have one of these. If you do, I will f***ing keep it for myself.
I do not,
Excellent.
but I swore against them, didn't I?
You did.
But, oh well, I
I'm
have
gonna-
it now.
You said if you wanted one, you need an army, wasn't it? Or something like that?
Yes.
Yeah, well, you're just having a one-man army.
Yeah, he's Mr. One-Man Danny DeVito Army.
You need to give him some, like, you have Red Cog, don't you?
Yeah.
Just fucking over-armor him with weapons. He is the one-man army.
Yes.
I'll see if I can get a little Rambo belt. Here, I've given him his
Gnor for Gnorblin, little Mr. One Man Army.
Yes. Yes. Now he will give me mine. I'm quite scared. Ah, yes. This is one for the collection. This is very good, because now I haven't had to spend money on him. We go to Kapow and we see if they have the upgrade kit for cheap. Yes.
But yeah, that was a really fun little thing to do. Following that whole sequence of things, there wasn't too much left to do, because it was a little while until there were panels that we were really after going down and watching. So I just kind of roamed a bit, went through the buy room for the rest of the afternoon to see if there was anything else I wanted, nipped upstairs, grabbed a pot noodle as I do. We caught a couple of panels. We caught the end of the Toys and Traders panel, just the very last bit, and then David Kay's panel. It was interesting seeing that, hearing him talk about stuff. We got to hear David Kay as Batman and how he would make that sound. That was fun. He did get delayed. Thank you, Honey Rock. So they swapped around the timings for the David Kay and the Constructicon panel, which is where they talked about and had a Q&A with people asking about stuff and how the con came together. And then there was the closing ceremony. It was very touching, very heartfelt. Toy Fu have now raised a lifetime of, like, I think it was £216,000 to go towards charity. It's incredible. And it was just this big goodbye. They brought up all the guests on stage, and then everyone congregated down at the bar. So it was one last final drink for everyone. Got down there, our group plus a couple of other people all sat down and we had a drink. Got talking to a guy about a few different things. For one thing, he had a magic square light piece and I wanted a fiddle. For another thing, we got talking about voice acting, because he does do voice work and it is an avenue that I would like to go down. And then following that, we just kind of made our own way, and we were just scattered around the bar, everyone talking to this, that, and the other. Honey Rock went and chatted with Michael Hill, and I bought him a pint. Went and briefly questioned David Kay, and then we all suctioned into a corner in a booth with another KFC and a couple of pints, and kind of joined up with another table. Sam Swartz came over, the TCCA guy came over again, and we just all sat and chatted. And 11:30 that night, me and Kian figured we've got to get up early in the morning, we got to get our train, so we will make the rounds, say goodbye to everyone. We did, packed the bags, went straight to sleep, and got up early the next morning, and just so happened to see the guys one last time while they were sitting in the bar having a cold drink in the morning before we left. So had one last goodbye. It was lovely. Those guys made TFN great for us. The community spirit of the whole convention, that was the incredible part. But actually having these guys that we were talking to this whole time, and this little clique of mates, and we all got on like a house on fire, and you guys, I'm saying this directly to you, you motherfuckers made that con great. I'll see you guys next time. Well, some of you know who you are. Following that, me and Kian just grabbed our bags, made our way to the train station. It was very heavy because there was a lot of toys in there. We got back without a hitch this time, going back on our main train from Birmingham International to London, and then getting the tube across. That did cut it a little bit close, but we did manage to get on, and then getting our main train back to the mother city, and then made my way home, got home and crashed. So I was going to make some more shorts, put those together on the journey, but no, I was too tired. I just collapsed. Completely out of it. Hangover from the weekend of not having a blood alcohol level below the legal limit the entire stretch of the weekend. That hit me like a truck while I was on the train, and I just out of it, had my dinner, brought my stuff upstairs, put it all on my desk, took a couple of photos, watched Markiplier, went to sleep. Slept for 14 hours and got up this morning bright and ready to talk about it. And yeah, now I guess I have talked about it. TFN was a wonderful time. Genuinely, I see why so many people say that it's the best weekend of the year. There was a record attendance. There was so many people that were so friendly, such a welcoming spirit. of the whole convention. Didn't feel alienated by the fact that there were already loads of people that knew each other. It was always a case where you would just put something on the table. It was like a social club, a night at the bar, except there's a universal conversation starter. It was incredible. I'd put the big boy that I'm going to talk about in a minute on the table, and somebody would bring over a tidal wave and stick it, and then we like compare the sizes and make them fight. It was great. People came over to look at our toys, we went over to look at their toys. Whole conversations just started on that merit, and it was such a nice, pleasant experience, and I fully plan on going again next year, if I can manage. But yeah, I don't think there's much else to talk about on that, so let's talk about money well spent.
So, should I just go through my basic wish list that would be nice?
Yeah.
Just to remind myself. These are items that I'd like to buy if I see them, and this is a visual reminder of the things that I want. So MP36 Plus would be nice, but that really depends on the price. Animated Bumblebee and Animated Prowl. Perfect Effect Beast Gorilla. Now that's one I'd like, but there is a knockoff on the market for significantly cheaper that comes with one of the little Gorilla Junior accessories. Nemesis Primal, actually. If I can find a Nemesis Primal loose, I'd love that. MP Lao Convoy, depends. The new Takara Chug Scale one looks nice. Shattered Glass Blaster and Shattered Glass Slicer and Exosuit. Motormaster. I would like to create a full Menasor or Motormaster.
Yes,
which one's?
Menasor.
I get
Menasor's the big man.
Yes, Commander Class Rodimus Prime. And then any other commanders. Anything I can find at a decent price.
My list has considerably shrunk because when we bought TFN tickets and we started to plan, on my list was still a Siege Jetfire and all the 86 Dinobots. I did have in mind a bunch of the Beast Wars versus packs, but those will definitely be budget permitting. They're not high on the priorities list. What is high on the priorities list right at the top is a Siege Astro Train, complete. Likewise, a full Siege Reflector, whether that be the 3 regular versions or the that multi-pack which had the extra bits to turn them into a realistic camera. There might be a couple of Earthrise and Siege bits in between that I get that I'm interested in but not massively fussed about. Like if I see a Thrust, I'll grab him. If I see a gold bug for like 15 quid, I'll nab that. Of course, there are the 2 biggins which will definitely be budget permitting. Tidal Wave.
I don't know how we're going to get that home.
Tidal Wave, Magmatron. Magmatron's lower on the priorities list because I don't really like him. It's an obligation buy.
Yeah, well, we'll see, honestly. We'll see how much I force you into buying one.
Yeah, we'll see. So, the haul. I didn't get everything that I was after on my essentials list. There was one item that escaped me, and that wasn't, well, there were 2 items technically, but one of them I wasn't too sure about, and I just so happened to miss the ones that were there. That item being Magmatron, but he's still available, the price is starting to come down. I don't think it'll be difficult for me to grab one. The other item was Tidal Wave, and I wasn't sure I was going to get a Tidal Wave. I wanted one. It depended on the price that it was for, and everything there was retail or more. But I digress. The very first thing that I picked up, and I'll go through things in order of getting them. The very first thing that I picked up was the top of my priorities list. I got me as an Astro Train. Siege Astro Train is a figure that I've been looking into for a while. When I started backlogging this year, getting Earthrise stuff, getting some Siege bits, when I got Jetfire, I got the Datsuns. He was up there on the list, but he is stupid on the aftermarket and goes for like 130 quid. I got this 100% complete, good tolerances most of the ways around. The hips are a little bit loose for comfort, but they still hold poses. £55. That's really good, and I really like it. I'll probably end up doing a video on him at some point. The coloration, the proportions, switching between the alt modes is a lot of fun. I don't think he's as good as Sandstorm, but I think he's probably the second best of the recent triple changes. The next thing was a impulse buy. And it was the biggest impulse buy of the whole con, and it was also the biggest buy of the whole con, and the reason why I didn't get a Tidal Wave. Because I would have done, if not for the fact that I saw this guy, for £130, which is very, very good. 90% of the time when I see one, toy fairs, out in the wild, secondhand stores, pre-owned stores, the other stores at TFNATION, he was like 200 for the most part. This one, the guy didn't have the blast effects or the minicon that he comes with, but I don't care because I've got a million blast effects and that minicon looks not very good. So I'm quite happy to knock 70 to 90 pounds off him. And this is something special. This is my first Titan. I like it. I like it a lot. It was difficult to find a spot for it to go in my room, but he's got a little spot on top of a shelving unit. He's very nice. He's also exceptionally heavy, so I'm going to put him down now. He was a big conversation piece at the bar. Loads of people were coming over to have a look at him. Now, what was the next thing that I got? The next thing that I looked for was the next part of my priorities list, and that was, once again, a Siege figure. I was looking around, I looked around at Toy Fu. Actually, no, just quickly. In Demand, I didn't catch the vendor that sold me Omega Supreme, and I can't quite remember the place that sold me this, but the tripod's come off. I got a reflector. I was very interested in getting myself a reflector this time, Siege reflector. I didn't know whether I wanted, or which version I wanted. That 3-pack with all of them in the toy colours, that would have been nice, but this one, there was a couple of these that sold. Got this one for 75. And you know what, I'm glad that I got this. I really like the purple and green. The camera seems to flow very well for me. I think actually the camera like this in the consistent colours flows a lot better for me than the toy style version does with all of the different colours across it. Those accessories that it has helps, but this is a lot more fun and concise a package. All the individual bots are really well toleranced, and just generally I like the way that it looks on a shelf. All the rest of my stuff is very animation styled, so having this as my best option for the price was kind of a helpful thing. I really like this. I nipped to In Demand and got myself a Lockdown. It was my last main purchase on Saturday. Very mixed on this guy. I have warmed up to him a little bit since doing my short on the unboxing, where I was like, hey, he's alright. He's fun. I just needed to get used to playing with the gimmick. There's a lot of parts forming on the go here because he's a weaponizer. Not so much the actual conversion, but all of the accessories he needs. You know, Lockdown needs this assembly on his arm. The claw and the hook and the EMP cannon. He needed all of that, and it was not the easiest thing in the world to figure out exactly how I wanted to have it. So I sat and I fiddled with it. I am a lot more happy with how I have him now, but still the arms need tightening. He's a good figure, not my favourite thing that I got. But I do have a Star Raider now, so that's nice. The last thing that I got on Saturday was my birthday present from Mr. Kian. As I've talked about before, we had our little thing and we watched it. No. I had sworn off of anything to do with Quintessons, but to be honest, this guy can stand alone quite happily. This is a really fun, just a little goofy guy. I like Sharktacons. The Sharktacon scene is one of my favourites from the 86 movie. And this guy, he does the job of a Sharktacon well. I feel quite satisfied just having this guy on his own on display, and he's a solid little guy. Kian has challenged me to give him as many spare accessories as possible, so I think I will have to do that at some point. And that was it for Saturday. From then on, it was just loads of beer. Saturday night at ClubCon, they did give out a couple of free pieces of artwork, namely this. Mine is dog-eared as shit, unfortunately, because I didn't have anything flat to transport this in. But it is a piece of artwork of RC as Ripley from Aliens. Nice little thing. I'm going to probably stick that up on a pinboard somewhere. And then we moved to Sunday. And Sunday, I got 2 of the same thing and 1 of something that I already have. The very first purchases on Sunday, I got in there and I was like, right, I need a hauler. And I can't tell you why yet, but I needed a hauler. And this guy's actually ended up probably maybe being my favourite, tied with Omega. He's just really solid. I like matte coloured faces. He's got a matte coloured face. He's bright. He's lively. He's got a fun transformation. And that led me into getting a Grapple. And Grapple is also fun. He's not quite as nice feeling as Hauler is. I have already gone in and shaved down the pegs, so I got one that isn't broken, which was tremendous. And yeah, I did have a mild spot of panic. I thought that he didn't have this little gun hand thing. It turns out I was stupid and I didn't realise that it was plugged into the side of this. But no, I've got him, he's whole, he's not broken, and now I have more of G1 complete. And likewise to go with him, I got him bundled in with Hoist. Not as good as the 5-pack Trailbreaker, but he's fun. I like him more than either of the Diaclone versions that I had. It's nice to have the lift ticket variant again. And yeah, that was everything that I got. I didn't get a huge haul. There were, however, a couple of fits. Well, the reason why I didn't get as much as I thought I was going to get, I grabbed a decent quantity of figures, and I set myself a higher budget. I set myself a budget of about 500 quid. I didn't spend that in all of that, and that is because a couple of pre-orders came out immediately before the con. So 2 figures got here before the con, which I took with me, namely being IDW Orion packs and IDW Gladiator Megatron, the SDCC pack. Very, very nice. And then a couple of things arrived while I was there. Those being the Studio Series A-level figures. I got an 86B. He is very, very, very lovely. I'm counting these in the haul, why not? The money got taken out of my bank account while I was traveling. The figures arrived while I was away. I got home and I unboxed them. They can count. 86B is very nice. I was so tempted to play with other people's while I was there. There was so many people with 86Bs because In Demand had a bunch. But I held off so I could experience my own for myself when I got back. And I'm kind of glad that I did because I'd heard mixed things about people's QC, and I've gotten lucky with the QC. A lot of my joints are very nice. But yeah, he's a very fun little lad. And then I also got TF1 Optimus Prime, Studio Series 1. He is also very fun. He is not as good as Bumblebee, I don't think. He's a good figure for what he is. Good deluxe. There was a couple of things. This little accessory that goes onto the front of the truck mode, the tabs on that were really tight, so I had to shave those down a bit, and now they're a little bit easier to play with. Makes him a little bit less stressful, but I like this. I like the coloration on it. A lot of my Optimus figures have the brighter colors that you see comparing this to the other Orion packs that I got. This is much darker, and I quite like that. The yellowed plastic doesn't seem like as much of an issue here. I like the axe. He's fun. I haven't played with him as much as the other stuff I've got, though. This is a good figure. It was quite the haul, and I'm happy with everything that I got. Even the things that I found a little bit unsatisfying were nice enough. I think it's really a testament to the enjoyment of the con and the fact that I could sit down at the bar and bring a figure or two down each night. 12 figures, 14 if you're counting refractors, 3 guys. That many, and not felt that any of them have been underappreciated or undervalued in how much I played with them, because quite often I go to a toy fair or something and I get a load of stuff, and then I get back and something goes, right, you get transformed once and then back, stuck on the shelf, I don't play with you again for a year. But I've not had that with any of these. These guys have all been really fun to mess with, consistently. That's once again another testament to the feel of the con. And I know that I keep on saying it, but the atmosphere of that convention, it was like an infectious good time for everyone there, it seemed. I barely ran into anybody who was showing how sleep deprived they were. It was a great time, a really, really great time, and I very much enjoyed it. And you know, one thing that other people enjoyed, people loved the Kian McShirt. A couple of people commented on it. It's great. I've had a really good time at TF Nation. I really want to go next year. I'm going to do my best to go next year, if I can. It's beyond on the cards, it is on my priorities list to save for that. If there are a few things that I wish I could have done, I didn't get to meet Greg Berger. I didn't get to talk to Jim Sorensen. My only exposure to anything to do with him was hearing other people talk about TF Nation. And then Greg Berger, I just didn't happen to run into him. I didn't really go out of my way to meet anybody directly. David K, I lined up with Kian because Kian wanted a couple of things signed and I just so happened to be there. But everyone else, it was just, oh, I bumped into you in the hallway, I'm going to have a quick chat. Or sat at the bar, something like that. But I just never happened to bump into Greg Berger. But beyond that, there's not really much I regret about the whole convention. I even managed to find some joy in feeling like I was going to die at 4 o'clock in the morning. It was great. The hangover was worth it. The drained bank account is acceptable in this instance, I think. Once again, thanks to everyone that came and said hi. It was nice meeting you. Yeah, I don't think I've got much more to say. Be sure to tune in next week. I've got the Comic Edition boys coming up. Hope you guys enjoy that. I haven't had a chance to sit in front of you and say it properly, but thank you guys. 1K for TF Nation. Let's go. Didn't waste the money on the shirts. But yeah, thanks for watching. Please stop by again. I look forward to seeing you all at the next one. Bye-bye. Baby, lock them doors and turn them lights down low. Oh yeah, no, that was the thing. I had so many songs stuck in my head for no good reason throughout that whole con. I was sitting there in the bar and walking along. If you like pina coladas and getting caught in the rain, if you're not into health food, if you have half a brain, browsing all through all the cravings. If you like making love at midnight in the dunes of the Cape, I'm the love that you look for. So write to me and escape. So many words. Anyway, ciao.